What's going on, guys? Ben here, and today we're going to talk about our final thoughts on Pax Dei and the alpha test 2 at the moment. Some things that I'd like to see improved, some things that I really like, my thoughts about its release status, its pricing, and we're also then going to do a little tour of Shammy's house, community friend of the channel, who obviously had some access to this on the stream the other day and has, did a little bit of multiplayer thing there as well. I know he's been hard grinding this, so we're going to go have a look and see what he's managed to do in the short time he's had access. Made way more progress than I have, so let's just put it that way. But across a load of different games and stuff I'm covering and things like that, we've done our first and second hour kind of impressions video of Pax Dei. We did a stream as well, about a 4-hour stream. And with the offline stuff and bits and pieces stuff that I've done not recorded, I'm probably sitting around 20 or so hours at the moment. Where I'm at currently with Pax Dei, I think I said this on stream, if this was coming out onto Steam for £20 to £30 as like a one-off purchase, maybe there's microtransactions in the future or stuff like that, and this isn't a very PvP centric game, and I don't think the combat's really good enough in its state, if I'm honest, to be saying this should be a PvP centric game. So I don't know if they can be pay to win mechanics, because there's nothing you really win, if that makes sense. I would buy this right now if it was £20 to £30 in early access on Steam. Come along the journey, of them developing it into a full 1.0 release. I think the developers themselves have some kind of mixed thoughts or questions on how to monetize this game, what the model will be, whether it's going to be free to play, whether it's going to be, a £20, a £30, a £40, a £50 title. That's still not decided, and obviously there is no like release date or anything. The closest we had to a window was just 2024, with a beta being in the spring, but we're in the spring technically, and this is the alpha test too, so I'd probably expect to see this next year with a beta probably towards the end of this year, maybe in the autumn. That aside, £20 to £30, if it dropped tomorrow, I would probably pick it up. There's plenty of hours here, there's plenty of content here for now, and there's stuff for them to tweak. What I wouldn't necessarily be a fan of is if it was going to be, and they'd wipe the servers every now and again and you start fresh. Because my big thing with this, and the thing that's going to put a lot of people off with this game, and we're going to talk about the kind of the social MMO, the social player-driven sandbox that they're talking about on the website and all the materials and stuff like that. The main thing here is this game is a bit of a grind. It's a time investment, it's a time sink, which isn't necessarily a bad thing if you're having fun while you're doing it. But it is very slow, it is very methodical. Building these kind of houses, and like I said, we'll have a look at Shammy's afterwards and stuff. Building these kind of things take their time and a lot of resource gathering. And it is an MMO, so obviously if there's all of you working together and you've got little chests for like, and you can set it to be like a clan chest so you can all dip into it together, those kind of things, really, really cool. I was even doing on stream, like you could just run up to people's houses and do like a little house review. Like there's so many ways, the building's done so nicely, I think, that there's so many great ways to make things unique, and way better than my pathetic little attempt of a house that I've tried to build here. There's some great stuff out there already. With that comes, as we build more chests, as we build more items, as we build more buildings and bigger buildings and castles and villages and all these kind of things, how's the server load going to be in the long term? Is this game going to become a laggy mess? This game is huge. The draw distance is huge. It's very impressive. Probably one of the most impressive early access games I've ever played. Or I should say alpha builds I've played, because it's not even a beta, it's not even an early access, but very impressive for how it runs for me. Obviously, I am on a beast of a rig, a 4090, so it's kind of no surprise in a way, but you would be surprised, I guess, with some of the current releases we've had on in the last year or so in the gaming industry. So, how will this game run when I don't even know how many people the worlds can hold? This is just one area, and it took me ages to get over here, let alone going all the way to like the other side of the map, and this is just one province. So there's a lot of questions to be kind of asked here, but my main thing will be how will performance be in general as more people come here. I would like to see the building space increased, because, or at least the distance someone could settle to you increased, because it's nice as the alpha test. There's plenty of houses along the river, spaced sporadically out quite nicely, but you know, what's to stop someone coming and settling right here, for instance, or you know, probably right here, as the server gets more full and general people come here and stuff like that. And that's just going to be one thing to consider. The other thing will be just the niche time of things. I didn't want to put 50 hours into this alpha test, and that's not because I wasn't having fun. I was actually having a lot of fun. Like I said, I'd buy this tomorrow if it came out and it was, you know, a reasonable price. My thing is that I know everything I work hard and put in to this right now in this alpha test is going to get deleted tomorrow on the 30th of April. It's going to be gone. There is no way I'm going to be putting 40, 50, 60 hours into something that is going to, you know, in a week, that's just going to go. It's only a week playtest as well. I know some people have been able to put loads of hours in. That's just not something I'm able to do with work and covering other games and stuff like that, as well as trying to balance a life. So a whole different thing there. This would be perfect though. Like I said, if this was out now and you could just slowly build up and build things and, you know, build your little town and eventually your village and stuff. The clan system, really cool to be able to potentially have people having their own little houses, having set kind of like places where we build and craft things and stuff, and it can all be shared, and like the houses can be individual, and you can really set these things. Really cool. You can see how this could be really player driven, but you can also play this solo and be the guy in the woods by the river like I am right now, with a little cabin, just playing on your own. It'll take you longer to do things, sure, but at least in this province there's no PvP. I know there was another province in this alpha test that had PvP. I honestly, from the combat I've had with mobs, I would not look at this as a PvP game. I would not look at this as something like New World or Once Human or anything like that. This is yeah, if you're in for PvP MMO experiences, I would just steer clear of this. Despite there having loads of weapons and stuff, you're looking at least, I would say, being generous, 4 or 5 hours if you're playing solo to build up and get the resources alone to be combat ready. And then I don't know how the PvP works, if you can then just go and pillage people if it's a free-for-all, but this is just a chill game. I would not say this is... I feel this is in there so they can get that market, but it's probably not something that's ever really going to be the forefront of this game in that side of things. I would just put that out there right now. In terms of the player-driven stuff, obviously if you're playing solo, that's very... There's not a lot of driving going on. There's nothing to drive. Your questing and your NPCs, your questing is basically, oh, I need this item for this craft, so I'm going to go find it, and you go out on an adventure and try and find it. Likewise, a lot of schematics, recipes, magical items as well, I hear, are locked behind some of the dungeons and like NPC outposts, like the enemy mob outposts and stuff, so there is an incentive to gear up and go and fight PvE and get those things to develop and get better blueprints and all that kind of stuff as well. But there's no real... Yeah, there's no quest saying, oh, can you go and get me 10 things of this, or can you go and deliver this to that person, or can you go and clear this dungeon and come back to me with my like bracelet that I lost in there or something. You know, there's none of this questing, none of this happens. That doesn't exist. There are no NPCs, no like NPCs you can talk to, non-hostile ones. The only NPCs there will be are mobs. There are skeletons, zombies, there are like normal swordsmen and like mages and things like that. And obviously there's the wildlife as well. Wolves, bears, I think we saw a honey badger on the stream. There's obviously deer, boar, rabbits, that kind of stuff. But there might be more stuff as well, because the map is quite varied. Stuff is in certain places that aren't in others and things like that. Very interesting to see how this plays out. At the moment, there's no trading as far as I'm aware in the game. And I think for a player-driven economy, that's going to be needed. You're going to need someone who's specialized in like ranking up their skills, and they're like level 20 blacksmith or something, and they can make really good stuff. But maybe they need to trade for some alchemy or some tailoring. Maybe they don't craft the clothing that well, so you know, you can trade each other, that kind of stuff, or even sell stuff. But there's no like gold or currency, so it's very much a barter system, but there's no NPC to barter with. It's got to be with players, and I feel like that has to be there, and it can't just be, oh, I'll drop you this, you drop that. It should be like a proper trade system, a bit like what Final Fantasy 14 has or something like that, where you can trade goods between each other. That does open up like RMT issues, like real money transactions and stuff like that, but something to think about there. All in all, I would play this right now if it was out. Like I said, had a lot of fun with it. I'm very reluctant to play any more of it right now or do any more content on it right now beyond this final kind of thoughts on the alpha test. Would I play a closed beta? Maybe, but I might not do as much content around it, because again, I would be, from what I've seen in the alpha test, I'm satisfied that I'm happy with what I've seen and that I know I would be able to play that, right? But I am not kind of happy that I would keep putting in hours into multiple different builds that are just going to get wiped a week later. It takes too long to build something, and I know the developers have been trying to like keep an eye on that and balance that in terms of, you know, gather feedback from this alpha test to see, is the game too grindy? Are there too many kind of issues with, you know, does it take too much wood? Do you not get enough wood from trees? Does it take too much wood to build stuff in the first place? Is the timer for charcoal at 20 minutes? You need 80 charcoal, so that's 120 minutes, or you need to have multiple kilns doing 20 minutes each just to make one smelt in the furnace, which will give you, I think it gives you 20 iron once you've put in 40 iron ore and 80 charcoal, but that takes an hour as well. The things like the tanning rack as well, that's gonna need that needs time as well. Same with the loom. The loom here has probably got stuff in it. It loads. Yeah, there's stuff in it that I've put on craft before I last logged out and stuff like that. And so we can see that coming all over now. A little bit of a lag with that actually, but I think there's definitely like a thing here of I think the visuals, the looks, the way, like the lighting, the draw distance, everything here is outstanding and absolutely gorgeous. Very pretty game to look at, very enjoyable to play and feel in that side of the, like, the ambience and everything. You just feel really sucked into the world. My main thing here is just, will this game be dead on arrival? And my only thing there is, who is this made for? Someone in the comments for, I think, my second hour video maybe, they said, well, this is like a blend of Valheim and RuneScape, and to some degree I agree with that. I think it's still on its own in terms of, oh, here's a world with nothing in it. That was some criticism on some comments on the video as well. It seems like people have built this world and then just gone, we can't be bothered to do the rest. There was a comment or two around that as well, which I think is valid. It's valid as well, that there is, would it be hard to have a couple of towns that could have trade, that could have some NPCs, especially for those solo kind of players? I would definitely think that in the long term, as player numbers dwindle because other games come out, people move on, people aren't going to live fully in this world 100% of the time, it would be good to have a backup, because what good is a socially driven MMO when there's no social aspects to drive it, when no one's here to play it anymore? What happens from a game preservation point of view? What happens then? So there's a few things there over the long-term vision of the game, and obviously it's, you know, the game directors, the developers, they have their vision of where they want this to go, or at least they're working that out still and stuff like that as well. I don't have a problem with the resource collection grind. I do think the crafting, like the amount required for some crafts, could be lowered a little bit, but then at the same time, you lower it too much, you've built everything in a week, you've completed it, you've raced it, you've done a world first, nothing else to do, and you move on anyway. So I get at the moment things feel like work, but in a good way, in a way that it's still fun, because you're not actually going to go out there and chop trees and gather wood and build a cabin in the wood yourself. Maybe you might. Personally, I'm not, so I get to live that like mini fantasy through this game, and it isn't just a case of chop down a tree, 4 logs, create the house, and I'm done. there is more thought into the pegs, the joints, the beams, the like the stone foundations, the boards and things like that as well. So I like that. I like the item density and the sheer amount of items you can pick up. With that, I think inventory space, it could be doubled for me. It could be doubled. Have a weight system instead of a slot system, if you really want to balance it. But I feel like more slots would be perfect. I think the inventory, you end up seeing people's bases just covered in chests, and that's because there's just so much stuff, and it starts to then ruin the aesthetic of it a little bit, because people aren't going to sacrifice that. They are going to have chests full of stuff. So it's something to consider there on that side of things for sure. Visually, performance wise, I've had no issues. Been perfect for me. Not too much to say on that. I've already gushed enough about how well this game looks. It is very, another comment we got was like, it's very like the UI, it's very listy, it's very list based, and it's very kind of, we get the build hammer out and stuff, and you start looking at these kind of things. There's a lot, you spend a lot of time in menus, and that is fair, but I think this is a crafting game. There's no way you're really going to be able to get around this. A thing I would really like is be able to pin a recipe, so you can then see what you need. So if I wanted to make this, I could pin this, and it would show on like the right hand side of my HUD right now that I need to collect these items, and then it would track that in my inventory. That would be amazing quality of life feature. But yeah, realistically, there's a few things here that can be done, a few things that can be improved for sure. And I'm sure there's a load of going to be stuff on the feedback of all the people who've done the playtest and everything like that. Like I said, I think the closed beta will be really good for other people, the open beta maybe, for everyone to get their hands on it, be able to try it out, check out what's going on and everything like that. But I think the main kind of thing here will be long term, what happens to this game. That's my real final thoughts on it, is just what happens to this game when there's no community here. Is this game just dead? So that would be my only reservation. And if it's a free-to-play game, then there's not too much of a concern of that, because you have your fun, you put your hours in, you enjoy the time with either solo or with clan mates, or you find friends in game, or LFGs and stuff like that, and you have your fun and you move on. Like I said, microtransaction wise, I don't know what they could do to incentivize it. I would hate it if they incentivized like quicker building times or easier ways to get resources, stuff that would give you an advantage on someone else. If it was a fixed price with just cosmetic DLC, maybe glamour that you could put over on top of your armor and stuff, that could be a way to fund it. But again, are people going to pay for that? I don't know. Honestly, outside of a full price, I don't see how they monetize it, because I don't really think, you don't see nowadays many monthly subscription games that are launching that way. I know you can still get World of Warcraft, Final Fantasy 14, you can still get those subscriptions. Things like Fallout 76, Guild Wars, I believe they all have like paid options for monthly things, and maybe they do that, but I don't know how they do that in this game while keeping the integrity of it at its core, and that is kind of a hard thing that they're going to have to come up with and struggle. Like I said, in my opinion, they do 20 to 30 pound as an early access, 40 to 50 pound as a full price release, maybe in a year's time when it's done. People who get on board now get early access discount. Goes from there. Like I don't know, but then obviously I appreciate MMOs probably cost a lot to run, server space and maintenance bugs, patches. It could do DLC, but what does DLC look like? You know, are we going to want to go to a whole new world to like build again, you know, and how soon would that happen and stuff? Like there's a lot of questions here. Overall, thrilled to be part of the alpha test. Really glad I got a chance to play this and see this, because I think just looking at the website and the marketing doesn't necessarily do it justice. You do kind of look at it and think, oh, it's kind of like, gives me Lord of the Rings, Skyrim vibes, like kind of thing, but it's a lot more chill. It's a lot more relaxing, and again, eye candy, it's very cool, lots of stuff going on, but not a lot in terms of combat or necessarily excitement. And at the moment, because there's no one telling you to go do quests, like Valheim is very hands-off, but Valheim has the bosses in each area, it has enemies raiding you, it has things to keep you on your toes, and so you create your own stories in Valheim through those experiences. This just doesn't have those triggers to create those stories. And so my story of 20 hours of playing this, I built a house, I settled a house next to a guy called Jesus, I stole some of his wood, I thought he stole some of my stuff, but it just despawned. I was the villain and basically stealed someone's bear kill and nicked their stuff on stream. Still feel pretty bad about that. I went all the way to the mountains, fell off the mountain and died. And you know, I've gone mining and cut down hundreds of trees. And that's my story. You know, there's no epic we did this dungeon, or there's just not enough time when you're doing it solo to get that far, and there's no one guiding you to go to these places. In the world has so much beauty in it. They've created such beautiful locations, but really, unless you're curious, unless you just want to go for a little walk and have a little look, there's no real reason why. There's no incentive. There's no, you know, it depends. Like the higher resources on tech trees might only be in certain locations, but it seems to be stuff's pretty spread out nicely. Like you can get stuff relatively easily. You just need to know where to look on the terrain and stuff like that. And that's my biggest thing of it. What's going to keep people here? And so I think this is going to be very niche, which then has cause for concern for the long term of this game. That would be my piece on it at the moment. Like I said, I'd be interested to check out a closed beta or an open beta in the future. Would I be putting in another 20-30 hours in this game? Probably not, until I know my progress can be carried over into a release. So if this released in early access, I'd pick it up, I'd start going further with it, I'd be dipping into it, seeing if we can get like some of the community and a clan together and start building up and things like that, and create a little village and everything. It'd be really cool. You can see so much like cool stuff with this and brings people together. But in its current state, with how it currently is, I need to wait and see what they do, what their pricing is going to be, what their vision is going to be, how are they going to monetize this, because obviously it's 2024, the games industry is what it is, and we need to be mindful of what that will look like. We can't just pretend that won't be something they won't ever do, and it will be a one-off price or stuff like that. So we got to, you know, they've got bills to pay and servers and people to pay and everything. So, you know, we need to know what's their model look like. Long term, once you've built a nice village and stuff though, what's going to keep you here? What's going to keep you logging in once you've unlocked all the recipes, once you've done all the bits and pieces? Like, what's the incentive? There's no level XP. You can't get a max level. The skills do have XP in levels. You can't see what they are though, and I don't know what the maximum is. Might be 20, might be more, might be just the alpha test at the moment, and they retweak that entirely. But what are we doing? What's the end goal? Because I think if you think most MMOs, they're gonna have endgame raids, they're gonna have like hard difficulty dungeons, they're gonna have like collaborative stuff you're gonna do, but I haven't played another social sandbox MMO. I don't know if there are other social sandbox MMOs. A lot of people have said this looks like is it Mortal Sin Online or something, or Mortal Empire Online or something? I need to remember what that comment was, but it looks like some Mortal something. I'll have to check that out as well, because I have no idea. I've never played that either. Only MMO I've really played is I've played a little bit of Elder Scrolls Online. I've played RuneScape, if that counts. A lot of RuneScape when I was younger, and I've played over 2,000 hours in Final Fantasy 14. So, you know, Destiny, it's how far do you go with an MMO kind of thing? Is Destiny an MMO? Is Tarkov MMO? So that kind of thing. But this will be interesting, because this is like Valheim, Enshrouded, Icarus. There's probably a few others you can throw in there as well. But without all the threats, or the immediate threats. There are threats in this world, but without all the immediate threats. So it closes the pace down way quickly. There's just nothing that's going to threaten me in this home right now. Nothing's going to raid me. There's no enemies nearby, and there's no PvP. So unless I wander out of my bubble, nothing will happen. Some people are going to love that. I kind of like that. But at the moment, I think I've got to run 10 minutes. Like, I've got to run down the road, across the bridge, and up into a castle over there in that direction. A ruined castle to find some enemies. And that's the closest ones, I think, that are near me at the moment. Or I can run into the forest over there and get eaten by bears. That's it. So I don't want this to come across as like a bad review. I think this is really good. I'm just excited to see where it goes, but I'm also cautious of where it could go, but also completely aware of where it's not going to go. I don't think this is going to be a PvP centric game. I don't even know why they have PvP servers. I think that's just to appease certain type of people that want that in the game. I don't think it's needed. I don't think it's needed at all. But it is community driven. So what happens when two communities fall out? At the moment, nothing would happen on a PvE server anyway, so that's a moot point. But in a PvP server, I guess, could you go to war? Could you get all your clan mates and get multiple clan alliances and go war to war with another group of clans? Like, there's some cool things there for sure. But how does it work when players can respawn and just get their stuff? And, you know, what determines a loss? There's no territory like in New World. There's no system or factions. It's very bare bones in that side of things, which I think is quite important for the social aspect of things. At the moment, I'm almost agreeing with the comment that said they've created a world and they're just going to let the players do what they want. Whether that's lazy or ingenious is another thing, but yeah, there's definitely something to be said here about almost like a social experiment of how people would act here and whether this even works. But anyway, to end off, we're gonna go have a look at Shammy's house and just see what someone who's actually put a load of hours in and is actually really good at these type of games and has a lot of experience with these games and takes a lot of care and attention with them. We're gonna see what he's built pretty much in like a couple of days of time. So I don't know how much he's played this. He hasn't told me how many hours he's played this since he got the key, but he got the key on the last weekend. So he's only, I know from a simple fact, he's only had a couple of days. So we've got a whole little fencing system, got all this crafting and smelting back here, everything like that as well. We've got all these things I haven't even seen. Millstones, the bread oven. He's gone really far with some of this stuff. We've got some more chesting and crafting around here. We've got a door downstairs, but we'll go up onto his little balcony he's got here. And we've got his upstairs. So we've got a alchemy table and a reagent distiller as well as we've got a bed and a little skin there. We've got the chandeliers, really, yeah, chandelier kind of things, hanging lights, really cool. Got a little balcony here as well, like a little Juliet balcony. Is missing that there. That's a safety hazard. Would not be kid friendly right now. So really, really cool. You know, when you compare this to my little hovel that I made, just goes to speak volumes, really. Should have really seen this in the light, really, shouldn't I? But can I craft a... Can't craft a torch because I don't have anything. So, armed with a torch. This is getting lighter anyway now, I think, anyway. Go inside. As we can see, we've got all the cooking workbenches, all the chests. And this is what I was talking about. All the chests everywhere. We've got the small spit roast, the cooking hearth, all the different stuff inside, all the pillars. The building stuff looks really, really cool. Interested to see if you'll be able to get like wooden floorboards and like better kind of materials and stuff. I think obviously they've got wooden flooring, like foundations and stuff. You know, can you paint the walls in the future with the dyes and things like that? But yeah, really, really cool. Looks really good as well. He's using the cottage walls instead of the the hut walls that I'm using. So got a lot of really cool stuff there, and just looks really cool in the water there, like really, really cool. I've seen people on TikTok and stuff making like taverns and like rest stops and things like that as well. People really going into the role play with all this kind of stuff as well. That's going to be what makes or breaks this game. It's going to be how the players embrace it, how the community makes the stories and really takes that on. But none of that's going to work if the systems aren't in place or the support of that. So that'll be the main thing. When you see what I can make compared to what Shammy can make, you can be like, yeah, okay, mine is absolutely rubbish compared to that. But from someone who's put in some hours of this game so far, I have no uncertain terms how many hours Shammy has put in to make that house right there. And with that, I think I'm going to leave it there because, like I said, summary, very good. Enjoyed it. Don't know where this game is going to go though, how they're going to price for it, how the community is going to embrace this. I think it's very niche. I don't think this is for everyone. And that's not ideal when it's an MMO. If this was a bit like Icarus, where it was server-based, or sorry, you could have server-based, or, you know, just have local co-op, and it was smaller, and it was just, you just loaded into a province, and it was just a few of you, and there was some NPC village. It's a complete different game. It's a complete different game then, you know? But you could see how this could be so good as like a slightly smaller scale and just like a multiplayer, not an MMO. But they've gone the MMO route, and so now they've got to figure out, which is on them, and we'll have to wait and see. They've got to figure out where they go from here and how they keep everyone in check, how they keep everyone hungry for more, how they keep everyone wanting to play this game and log in each day. But with that, thank you so much for watching. Remember to like, comment, subscribe. Let me know your thoughts below. Did you check out the alpha test 1 or 2? Because this is the second one. There was one back in December, I believe. There'll be videos of that as well. I think Asmongold had like his whole community build a castle and stuff. So there's really cool things you can see with like people having like multiple kind of people doing this. But yeah, let me know in the comments below what you think. And yeah, that's all from me for now, and that'll be all of the Pax Dei content for now as well. Like I said, I'll keep you up to date on the channel if we do, if there's like a closed beta or an open beta or anything like that. Likewise, how to get into those, or like I said, if we end up seeing like a release and stuff like that. But for now, that's everything. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Take care.